Imagine being trapped in your own mind, a kid named Mike, sitting alone in a gray, empty room where every shadow whispers you're broken. Mike's not just scared, his body aches with memories that never fade. But here's the twist: what if those scars could become your secret strength? Pete Walker, who's walked that lonely path, reveals not just survival, but a way to actually thrive. And that's the open loop we'll unravel. How do you transform lifelong pain into unexpected power? Walker breaks down the raw mechanics behind how trauma hijacks us. It's all about a primal survival code that your brain learned early, sometimes painfully. In a chilly therapy office in Boston, Mike recounts how when his childhood terror hit, his body shut down completely. He couldn't scream, fight, or run, just freeze. That paralysis saved his life then, but decades later, it traps him in constant numbness and dissociation. Walker calls this the 4 Fs: fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, the automatic reactions wired deep in your nervous system. Think of it like your brain's old-fashioned emergency brake, pulling hard to stall danger. But when stuck, this brake grinds your life to a halt, keeping you locked in survival mode long after the threat is gone. The breakthrough: learning to spot when that brake's on and gently easing off. Mike discovers mindfulness is like finding the clutch in that rusted car. It lets you shift gears from mere survival to actually driving your life forward, gaining control instead of feeling helpless. You might think trauma leaves you powerless, but Pete reveals something way more interesting: armor. But it's a double-edged sword, fragile under its heaviness. Sarah grew up with constant emotional neglect in Seattle. She learned early that blending in, pleasing everyone, what Walker calls fawning, keeps her safe. But the cost? Sarah felt invisible inside her own life, like a ghost who couldn't speak up or ask for what she needed. Walker compares these coping strategies, fight, flight, freeze, and fawn, to armor forged in fire. It protects from pain, but over time it stiffens, cutting off genuine connection and joy. It's like wearing a suit of armor that weighs you down more than it shields you, sinking you deeper into isolation. What Sarah discovers in therapy and practice is that shedding this armor feels terrifying but liberating. The vulnerability beneath, it's not weakness, but the doorway to real connection and authentic selfhood. The surprise is that what once kept her safe also trapped her, but with care it can become her greatest strength. Walker doesn't stop at survival and pain. He maps out how CPTSD survivors discover unexpected gifts on the bumpy road toward thriving. Pete Walker shares moments from his own decades-long recovery, like the day he realized his chronic hypervigilance, once a burden, gave him an uncanny ability to read people's moods. That revelation flipped his story. What felt like curse became a flashlight for deeper connection. Walker explains this through a garden metaphor. Trauma is the rocky soil, hard to work with but rich with nutrients. Survivors tend their garden, noticing the blooms of empathy, resilience, and creativity that often grow from hardship, surprising themselves with new life where they'd expected only barrenness. The payoff: survivors who embrace their wounds often find a new sense of purpose, helping others, creating art, or simply living openly and boldly. Walker invites you to hold this paradox. Pain can coexist with joy, and thriving doesn't erase scars, it honors them. Back in that cold room with Mike, the shadows haven't disappeared, but they've lost their grip. The survival brake is off, the armor unlatched, and a surprising light breaks through. Each step you take, like Mike, means you're not your trauma, you're the traveler learning how to steer. So here's a small dare right now: try pausing, feel your breath, not your fear. That's your first gentle shift toward thriving. Subscribe for more book summaries like this one.